What is up, guys? My name is Nick and welcome back to another Battlefield 6 video, man. Today we're going to be going into the settings. They're a little confusing. There's a lot of settings that we got to change in this game in order to be better. You want your game to look brighter, you want everything to look nicer, I got you. You want your game to look cooler, you want your aim to be a lot easier with a controller, I got you as well. So we're going to go straight into this. I think I put everything back to default. I mean, there's some stuff here like world brightness that I didn't put back to default, but I think for the most part, everything is back to what it should be, alright? So menu narration and subtitles off, 100%, you don't need those. And then after that, the world brightness, you're going to want to put this up to 60, okay? It depends on your monitor. You got to kind of play it around. The default is 50. 50 for me doesn't look that nice, so I put it on to 60, and it just comes out pretty nice as well. And then you could change things here as well if you want to. There's no real reason to do it, so I just leave it as default. And then after that, we're going to go over to the master volume and all this kind of... Actually, we'll go into this afterwards. We'll touch this afterwards. After this, we're going to go into camera effect, and in camera effect, you're going to put the world motion blur all the way down to 0, and the weapon motion blur, again, all the way down to 0, all right? You do not want any of these on. Weapon motion blur isn't as bad, but you definitely want those off as well. Camera shake amount, you want this as well, as low as you could possibly get it to, and I believe it's 50. Yeah, it's 50. There it is. You don't want it lower than that. You don't want too much shake because it's going to mess up your accuracy. You're going to be moving around. The camera's going to be bouncing everywhere. Just not nice to have, all right? Reduce sprint, camera bobbling. We're going to turn... actually, no, we're going to keep this off. My bad. We're not going to turn that on. I thought for a second we had to, but it is what it is. So make sure you got these at 0 and the camera shake at 50, and it's going to help out your accuracy. It's going to help you spot enemies a lot easier, all right? So just make sure you guys go ahead and do that. After this, we're going to go down... I think we're pretty much done here. Vibration intensity, I always turn my vibration off, all right? So just turn it off right here. That's all you got to do. Once your controller vibrates, your thumb is vibrating with the controller. So if your vibration's going left and right, but you're trying to stay accurate on the enemy and stuff, micro adjustments that you got to make in those gunfights are going to be pretty hard with the vibration working against you. So yeah, just make sure you turn this off, and you can just forget all these other things right here. After that, I think that's about it for this page. Yeah, I think pretty much that's it. We'll leave peek hint and ping hints and all that kind of stuff on. Doesn't really matter. But we'll go into the gameplay now. And in the gameplay HUD, again, we're just going to walk through this. I don't know the settings by heart yet. I'm still trying to learn them all. So I'm going to go through some pages. There might be things that we don't need. There might be things that we do need. But we're just going to go ahead and look at it. Sprint door barge on. Yeah, you kind of want that on. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm just going to leave this as is, I think. There's no real reason to change any of these. Yeah, we'll just leave it as is. We'll go into the controller here. This is where we're going to start changing things, okay? So we're going to edit our settings here. And in the controller settings, what you want to do, and I'm playing on a PlayStation 5 controller, what you want to do is edit your button layout, okay? So if you could go ahead and you could just set it to custom, that's going to be really good. And then from here, you want to go to your controls, and again, you want to set it to custom as well, or you can just leave this one at default. It doesn't really matter. I like default, so I'll leave it as is, but you could set it to custom if you want. Now we're going to go into infantry passenger control mapping. And again, this isn't too much. We're just going to see what it's set at. So change seat is X, vehicles is circle. If you like that, you can leave it as is. If you want to change that to like L1, R1 to change seats and stuff, or L2, R2, whatever you want, you could do that as well. But we're just going to leave it as is. Now, control settings. This is for ground vehicles. I don't feel like I need to change much. Transport vehicles, again, I don't feel like I need to change much. Aircrafts, I don't feel like I need to change much. And helicopters, all that kind of stuff, I don't feel like I need to change much. Now, gunner, this is something that I will actually go ahead and change. And if we go into the map here and we look at it, you'll see that there is a few things here that you could do, like change seats, all that kind of stuff. But if you want to make sure that you guys are aiming up, down, and all that kind of stuff, your right stick is fine, but there's also this right here. So fire, L2, and R2, I don't like that for my gunner, all right? So I'm going to set my fire to R1, and we're going to bind it anyway, and then I'm going to set my gunner zoom to L1. And again, we're just going to go ahead and bind this anyways. I like that. I'm comfortable with that, and I like shooting with L1 and R1, at least for me. It makes the most sense, right? All right, so we're going to go back into the infantry. This is where it gets a little bit confusing, okay? Like I'm coming from Call of Duty where you could just change it and it's really easy to change your settings and stuff, but when we go into here, it starts to look really confusing, really difficult, all right? So we're gonna walk through this. I'll show you guys step by step. If you play without back paddles, this is what you want to follow, all right? So infantry aim sensitivity, we're gonna put this one up to like around 0.50 or around 50. I like it there. That's personal preference. If you want to play slower, play slower. If you want to play higher. I'm not gonna tell you guys what to do at. Field of view, we're gonna play at 105. And vertical aim ratio, I'm gonna recommend dropping this one down to 50, all right? It doesn't change too much, but it does feel a little stickier. Your aim will feel a little bit nicer and all that kind of stuff. So we're just gonna leave it at 50 right there. Now, this right here really confused me like crazy, okay? So infantry aim assist, you want to keep it up at 100, But then you got zoom sensitivity coefficient, which is enable and adjust sensitivity of uniform infantry aiming zoom. The greater the value, the higher the sensitivity while zoomed. So this is pretty much your ADS zoom sensitivity, your ADS sensitivity, all right? I don't like my ADS sensitivity to be high. I like mine to be pretty controllable, and I found that if I go lower than 1.50, it's a little too slow, but if I put it back to the default at 179, I think it is, it's a little too high, or 160, I forget what the default is. So I put mine to about 155.0, just 155 in general, and it seemed to be really nice. It actually seemed to stick on targets pretty nicely. It was just good, in my opinion. And then all of this right here, we're gonna just leave it at 100, because this is aim assist. You do not want to lower your aim assist whatsoever. You definitely want to have that high right there. Now, stick input acceleration presets, you could change it obviously if you want, but we're just gonna leave it at standard. It's pretty nice. Aiming left right acceleration, again, just leave it at 50. I'm gonna play around with this when the game's out a little longer and stuff, do a lot more testing and whatnot, kind of figure out what's best, but for the meantime, just leave it at 50. It's all right. Infantry sprint, you want to toggle, you don't want to have it on hold, you want to be able to toggle your sprint, but I don't want my sprint to be L3. I want my double tap forward to be sprint, all right? So I'm gonna turn auto sprint on. And the reason I'm gonna do this is so that I could use L3. Now, when I press my left joystick, I could use it for something else. I don't have to use it for actual sprinting or anything, okay? So we're gonna just leave it at auto sprint, and we're gonna have it on toggle. Now, this right here, without needing to press L3, I could just push it up twice, and it should work. But double tap kind of messes me up, so I'm not crazy about that as well. That's if you have it on sprint. I think you gotta press it twice, but auto sprint is pretty nice, and we're just gonna leave it to push up anyway. So we're just gonna bind anyway at L. All right, you do not want it at L3, you want it at L, so that when you actually do push it forward and stuff, you will start sprinting. Okay, toggle crouch and stuff like that. No, we don't need to crouch sprint. We'll just have it at stand, and vault over sprint, we'll just leave it at on. Slide, what do we want to set our slide to? I like to set slide to L3. Okay, so we're gonna boost it right there. We're gonna, well, I don't know why I said boost. I read the word boost and said it at the same time. We're gonna set it to L3. So now we're gonna sprint by pushing forward, and we're gonna slide with L3. We don't have to press circle or anything. We don't have to take our thumbs off any joysticks on the left at least. So we'll leave it as is. And then crouch slide, we'll just leave it at all, and double tap crouch for sprint slide, we'll leave it on as well. Infantry weapon zoom. I don't want L2 to be my zoom, so we're gonna switch it to L1. All right. I like L1 being my zoom. The reason for that is because I'm so used to it on a PlayStation controller since PlayStation 3, since PlayStation 2. Anytime I played a shooter or something, L1 is always what I use. It just feels more comfortable. It presses faster. It just seems like it just acts a lot quicker in games. I go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna leave it as is. I think we're gonna leave everything else at this. All right. Now my zoom sensitivity, maybe for the one-time scope, I'll lower it to like 95. And the reason for that, again, is just so you can feel a little bit stickier, but you got to realize when you get into those up-close gunfights, you don't want it to be too low either. If you put this too high, it's not going to stick on enemies. Your aim assist is going to be weird. It's going to be too fast. It's not going to stick nice. But 95 is pretty solid, and a 1.25, I might do the same thing here. I might leave this at 95 as well. This is something Call of Duty needs to do. They need to add decimal points to all of this, because this is really nice. It's actually something I really like a lot. And then after that, we'll just leave everything at 1.0, or at 100. It seems pretty nice. And then basically, we're just gonna leave all that as is. Where is my right stick? My right stick must be somewhere. Did I skip it? Maybe I'm just, it must be somewhere. So aim is here. Aim, left, right, acceleration. No, I must have skipped it somewhere, right? Movement, zoom. Oh my God, it's not even here. I found it last time. I forgot where I found it, but basically what I'm gonna do with my right stick, if in case I don't find it this video, is I'm gonna switch my right stick to jump, and then I'm gonna switch whatever it is now, like my melee and stuff, I'm gonna put to X. So basically that's all I'm gonna do with R3 right there. And then I'm gonna aim down sights with L1, I'm gonna shoot with R1 as well. So that's gonna be pretty nice, but we're gonna find that somewhere else. I just, no idea where it is at the moment, but we'll find it, guys. Now, if you wanna switch R1 to be able to use that, what you have to do is you have to put your controls onto custom as well, and then go into infantry passenger control mapping, and from here you'll be able to switch it all out. So as you guys can see here, make sure you put your grenade to R2, and make sure that you pull in your call-in gadget, the half whatever there it is, to L2, okay? If you do not do this, once you start shooting with L1, once you start aiming on sights, that little thing is going to pop up on the middle of your screen, that little wheel is going to pop up on the middle, and you won't be able to actually move your aim or anything. So make sure you change this, and make sure that you change your grenade to R2, because if not, once you start shooting with R1, your grenade is going to be called in at the same time. You will not be able to hold your fire or anything like that. Just not worth it. So make sure you guys guys set that, all right? If you don't do it, it's gonna be weird. And then my jump, I set to R3. And whatever you have R3 set to, you gotta switch it as well, all right, guys? Because you can map the same button to do the same thing on multiple things in this game. So make sure you guys are switching this. And now my sprint is L. Like I said, I move forward on that L. I don't have to press it. I just automatically sprint. It's really nice to have. And then after that right here, my slide is now L3. I push down on that and I can do what I want. And my fire and my zoom are L1 and R1. So if anybody does want to switch those, this is how you do it, okay? But you got to make sure that everything else you do, like I think fire being at R1 is nice, and my jump being R3 now is really nice, but melee is also R3. So you got to switch R3 melee to an X now, your X button or your A button if you're on an Xbox controller, all right? So make sure you guys make, like whatever you set it to, you got to also switch the other one to that. It's not going to automatically switch. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So anyways, L1, R1, make sure those are the only things in this whole page that are set to L1, R1, and you will be set to go, all right? And it's really nice, trust me, it's really nice to play the game when you could swap all of these controls. So everything you want to swap, it's all in here, but you got to make sure that you put your controls to custom and then enter infantry passenger control mapping. After that, we're going to go into some more settings here. We're going to go into graphics. Graphics are really nice. I have my performance set to auto performance. It's nice. It performs pretty well. It's nice. My graphics quality, we're just going to leave it to automatic. Whatever the game thinks is best for me is all right with me. And the quality settings, we're going to go into here. We're going to put everything else to low pretty much because we want more FPS rather than a higher looking game, a nicer looking game. If you're not streaming, if you're not recording the gameplay, and you don't really care about having the highest FPS ever, go ahead and switch this. It doesn't matter. But I'm recording a lot. I want it set to low, so that's why I set it to low. That's at least one of the reasons why I would tell you guys. Now my roll brightness, 60. I mentioned this before. It's nice. It makes the game brighter. It makes it easier field of view. If you want it all the way up to 120, go ahead and do so. I don't like it. And then all of this, which I spoke about earlier, you're going to want to set this to the lowest and the minimum that you possibly can. Film grain, off. Vignette, off. Chromatic abbreviation, probably off. Yeah, I think we're better off there. And reduce sprint camera bobbing, we're going to turn this on, okay? Once this is on, your camera's not going to be shaking as much when you're sprinting and whatnot, so it looks better when it's off. But for the sake of trying to win your gunfights and stuff, turn this on. You're going to thank me later for that, all right? Weapon field of view, wide is nice, narrow is even better. Your narrow, just you can see a little bit more of the map and stuff, so setting it to narrow is pretty good. So yeah, that's basically it right there. And then from this, yeah, I'm playing at 1440p. It's really nice. It is what it is. And then all of this here. So show HUD on, it doesn't really matter. This is all preference, right? Whatever you guys want to set it to, go ahead and set it to that. Audio is pretty important, okay? So the master volume, you're going to set to 100. Sound effects volume, this is like footsteps, gunshots, grenades, buildings blowing up and stuff like that. You're going to set that to 100. Music, we're going to lower this. We don't need the music to be loud. We don't need that popping in our ears and stuff. I'm going to put mine all the way down to 60. Seems like it's all right there. Commander volume, again, this is all right to have, so we'll put it at like 80 or something. We don't need it too high. It's pretty good there. Soldier and campaign volume, yeah, we're going to lower that as well. We're going to put this down to like 60 or something. We don't need these to be too high. What we want high is the footsteps, the gunshots, the explosions, all of that. UI, sound effects volume, this is what we're in right now. I mean, you can leave it at 100, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to change anything in game. And then controller speaker volume, I don't want my controller speaker on, all right? So I'm going to just lower it all the way down to 0. I have a headset on. Why do I need my controller to make noise as well? It just doesn't make sense to me. Stereo's all right, headphones all right. You guys can set it to like literally whatever you guys want. 3D headphones is even nicer. I just hate how you have to like press this every time you want to go into it. But surround is pretty good too. If you have a surround sound system and whatnot, it's pretty good. You can even set that with headphones and it's not too bad. But yeah, so we're just gonna go back now. It lets me go all the way back. So yeah, we're just gonna go probably to 3D headphones, and that's probably gonna be the nicest. After that, we're gonna go to high dynamics, night mode, war tapes, or war tapes VAL. We're gonna set it to high dynamics. And audio and background, I don't like it. So when I switch screens and stuff, I don't want this on, so I just turn that off right there. Enable voice chat. You want to talk to people? Sure. Voice chat volume 100. Voice chat ducking. Basically, this is, we'll read what it says. Set how much the overall game audio should be reduced when someone speaks to you in the voice chat and stuff like that. If you want the game volume to go lower when someone talks, go ahead and do it. Personally, I don't want my game volume lower. I want to hear everything I possibly can, so I'm going to set this up to as high as I possibly can. Or I think the higher is worse. I think higher is actually worse. I'm gonna test it out, figure it out, and let you guys know, because I think higher is actually worse. We're gonna put it down to 0 right now, because if someone's talking, we don't want the game to change anything whatsoever. I have it on push to talk. I record a lot. You guys can set it to open mic. That's fine for you. I have it on push to talk because I don't want people listening to me and whatnot. My input device, we're just gonna set it to what I have right now, and then basically everything else is pretty much it. There's not much more that needs to be changed, and it's pretty good right there. In system, there's not much to do. You could change your streamer mode. You could go into your minimap and make it larger if you want. I'm gonna put my minimap to, I like it small, to be quite honest with you guys. There's no reason to have that higher. Minimap background opacity, I don't really need to see the background. I want my minimap to take up the whole spot in that little corner. Cone opacity 15, cone edge opacity 40 is all right. View rotation, we're gonna leave that on. View distance on foot, you could put this higher if you want to see more. Your FPS will probably drop doing this, but it's okay. View distance in ground vehicle, again, you just want to see higher, so I'm just gonna leave it at 250. It's nice there. Distance in the air 300, obviously that's going to be really important and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically it. There's not much more to change here. There's basically all that. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel with those notifications turned on. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Nick. Make sure if you switch L1 and R1, you switch everything else, because you will be stressed out if you don't. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.